Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Wednesday, October 22nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown to if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader. This will be a video for you. First off, a couple quick clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, BYND, remains pretty much the talk of the town. Again, another big day of movement and volume. Talked about this resistance area right here, but yeah, today that level got absolutely shattered, so we'll get rid of that as it served its purpose for now. And now get a couple more updates here mapped out. But this is a pretty tricky chart to talk about because there's a lot of perspective that goes with it. If you were some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right here, then yeah, right now, things are not looking very good. There's been a pretty big pullback from those highs. But if you do care about the grand scheme of things, overall the chart is doing just fine. And to illustrate that, let's first talk about our first level that I would call the ideal level of support. When you say, Clay, what would make this chart look the absolute strongest going forward? And that would be if the price can stay up above $2.95. Now, let me be very clear. Even if the price drops below $2.95, that does not mean the entire chart's destroyed or ruined or anything like that. But if the price can manage to stay above there, that would definitely be a very nice sign of power. Taking a step back, though, and looking at things from the bigger picture point of view, that is where the purple line comes into play, the 50-period simple moving average. Keyword being moving, because as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher and get more and more relevant. I get it. Right now, the price is way up here. This line is way down here. But again, as time goes by, that line will move higher and higher, get more and more relevant. It's basically like a trend line that's drawing itself for you. So as long as the overall trend line and the price is still above it, then by definition, the overall trend is still in the bull's favor. So again, staying above 295 would be great. But from the grand scheme of it all, as long as the price stays above that purple line, that's what matters most. In terms of areas of resistance, no need to overcomplicate it. Just ask the question, where did the party finally stop today? And the party stopped up there at 384. So that'll be the main battleground moving forward. But all in all, the trend is very clearly upwards. And as long as the price stays above that purple line, that is what matters most. Next one here, YDKG. And a nice move here when you consider where the price was yesterday. And now the fact that the price has made a nice move up. So yes, that's been a solid move. But is there any sort of genuine power behind this price movement? I have no idea. But by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward. And in my mind, it all revolves on this level right here at the 5-cent mark. Why is 5 cents so important? And I'm not saying this will occur, but let's say the price comes down here and then does something like that. What would you have at that point in time? Well, now all of a sudden you'd have a situation where the price has gone right back to where it was. And I mean, not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make nice moves and all of a sudden go right back to where they started, not exactly a sign of genuine strength. Now, on the flip side of things, though, because nothing can go straight up, maybe the price comes down here and behaves like that and then starts to curl back upwards. Now, what do you have in this set of circumstances? Well, you have lows here. You have these lows right here. And if you envision these as stair steps, well, now you have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. And that's the name of the game. Like I said, nothing can go straight up, but you do at least want to see progress, which does bring up about the question, okay, fair enough, but how are you defining progress? And in this situation, in my opinion, progress, quote unquote, being defined as staying up above that 5-cent mark. If the price does continue, next key battleground to watch very closely will be that 50-period simple moving average right now, currently valued at 0.0689. So keep an eye on those levels. But yes, top priority, in my opinion at least, is not necessarily breaking levels of resistance, but simply showing some signs of progress. Next one here, BBAI, and the bleeding continues. The most recent sign of bleeding just comes about from previous chart I did, or I should say previous analysis, where I talked about this here at 710 as an area of support, but with the price now breaking down below it right there. This is just basic technical analysis. When levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce upwards now in the coming days, priority number one, first key battleground will indeed be that level right there. Like I said, $7.10 as that initial area of resistance. If the price pushes up through there, then you'll want to keep an eye on that purple line there, that 50-period moving average. As I talked about previously, that is the moving average. So as time goes by, that line will move itself lower and lower. So this is essentially now a downtrend line being drawn for you. So in other words, as long as the price is below that purple line, then technically speaking, the price remains in an overall downtrend. As far as areas of support are concerned, again, no need to overcomplicate the logic. Just ask yourself the question, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And the bleeding finally did stop right down here at these lows a couple times, around $6 and basically 90 cents. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, so far so good. It bounced from there and bounced from there again, but we'll see if this can generate some sort of more momentum back in the upwards direction. Next one here, BITF, and overall another rough day on this one. With all that said, to be fair, from the overarching standpoint, the price is doing a good job of staying above a key level. That key level being right there, that pink line, which on my chart denotes the famous 200 period moving average. And even if you have a very basic understanding of charts, I'm sure you've heard of that 200 period moving average, and you know that when the price is above it, then from a broad standpoint, you want to see the price stay above it, because that does mean that the overall trend is still technically still in the bull's favor. And like I said, it is still above that. It's getting closer, that's for sure. But like I said, to be fair, it is still above that area. So for those reasons, moving forward, that pink line, very, very important. Current value of that right there at $4.32. From the overarching standpoint, from the resistance side of things, that's where kind of the little brother. So we have the big brother here, the 200 period moving average. The 50 period moving average, which I've already talked about a couple times, is going to be that overarching level of resistance right now valued at 502. So from an overarching standpoint, it's basically stuck between the two brothers. We have the 200 period big brother, then the younger brother right there. So it just becomes a question of who is ultimately going to win out. Does the price push to the upside, or does the price push to the downside? That's a big question mark moving forward. Next one, RGTI, and a pretty significant move happened today. Not necessarily because it was a red day, but again, going back to that 200 period moving average, and as I just talked about it, within the world of charting, very, very important level. And then you can see on this situation, price broke below it, and now you can see that the another round of momentum has shown back up. So yeah, very, very rough day. I'm going to go ahead and do some house cleaning and get rid of that level. And also, we'll just get rid of that level, because really the main level now to watch moving forward, if there is any sort of attempted bounce, is, yes, that 200 period moving average. And you can see how that rule plays out when levels of support are broken and closed below. They tend to act as resistance. So right there, that pink line was broken. And then you can see several times here, price tried to get back above it and just couldn't quite do it, including right there before finally, like I said, that round of momentum showed up. So keep an eye on that dynamic if there is any sort of attempted bounce upwards in regards to needing to get back above that pink line. In terms of next potential areas of support, we're having to go back quite a bit into the history here of things, but next key level from a support standpoint to keep an eye on right down there around $37.50. So yes, the overall trend is still up, but yeah, this right here is starting to get pretty intense right here on the downwards pullback. But overall, we'll see if the price can maybe build out some bigger picture bull pennant and then get a break back to the upside. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a very common problem, and that is people wanting to be day traders, and I'm defining day trader as having unlimited day trades every single day. So you can trade as often as you want, but they can't because of the pattern day trend rule. Well, there is a way you can go about all this. Become a day trader for a very small amount of risk, a small amount of money, and also give yourself access to a market that moves way better than penny stocks and small caps anyways. And I do realize if all this sounds too good to be true, what's the catch? Which is why I would say, come check out the live stream. Start every day at 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And you can see what I'm doing, because this is what I have begun doing, and I've been doing it for quite a while. So I put my money where my mouth is. I really do believe in it. It is by far the most efficient way to go about your day trading. So like I said, if you're interested, come swing by the live stream, watch it with your very own eyes, and ask me any sort of questions you have about it. Next one here, we are looking at NVDA, and this will mean maybe a little bit to those of you that watched yesterday's video, but if you did, talked about this 180-ish mark as an important area of support. And sure, the price did pull back here a little bit, but check it out. Beautiful job of staying up above that area, bouncing off of it, which it's done several times before, so not totally shocking. But like I said, overall, moving forward, yes, 180 remains a key level of support. And then just from kind of a health perspective, it's remaining healthy. Not that if the price drops below 180, the chart becomes unhealthy. But at that point, I mean, you want to see progress being made. You don't want to see the price dropping back inside of this former channel. So, but to be clear, I'm not saying if 180 fails and that means NVIDIA is going to the toilet, nothing like that. But just to kind of be high maintenance and picky, what would make the chart continue to look the strongest right now, certainly being staying above 180, which again, it did a fantastic job of right there. If there is any sort of bounce back upwards, definitely the main level to watch now going to be right there around the 182.50 mark, so keep an eye on that. But in my opinion, the most important dynamic, which so far so good, is staying above 180. But yeah, if the price tries to curl back upwards and get through 182.50, that would certainly be a good bullish dynamic also. Next one, PLUG, and a very rough day on this one. Again, not necessarily because it was red, but because it's breaking down through all these key areas. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level with the first update coming about, which I've said previously, when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So if there is any sort of attempted and curl back upwards, right here at 335 will be that first key battleground that needs to be broken from the resistance side of things. In terms of areas of support now, got to squeeze things down here quite a bit as we go back into the history of the chart, with now the next important area of support, if this does continue to bleed, being down here right around this gap close location of $2.90. Now, No gap has to absolutely close. Do many gaps close? Yeah, they do close, but nothing has to happen because that would imply there's guarantees in the market, and there are no guarantees. But yes, 290 going to be that next key area to keep an eye on from the support standpoint. So if it heads down there, no guarantees, but I could see that being a very plausible area where the price maybe gets a bounce. Next one here, GSIT. Talked about this in yesterday's video, so this will mean a little bit more, but mapped out that area of support right there, and so far so good. That lower trend line did a fantastic job. Nasty move here with a gap up and then having it come back down, but check it out. Found some support, got a little bit of a bounce. Granted, it did roll back over. So moving forward, going into Wednesday, this in my mind becomes a very interesting level. It's becoming essentially a double whammy of potential support. Whammy number one, you have the trend line. Whammy number two, you have the purple line right there. Again, just because you have two supports, does that mean it'll for sure bounce? Of course not. But in my mind, it's a plausible potential outcome. So keep an eye right around that 915 mark. I'd consider that a very interesting and very important level of support headed into Wednesday. As far as areas of resistance, if this does try to bounce back upwards, key dynamic to watch from a resistance standpoint, right there around $12.50. Next one here, NVTS. Talked about this bull flag that had formed going into today. But as I always mention, just because something's a bullish pattern doesn't mean that it's for sure going to go upwards. And here we have a situation where this was just a nasty failure of that bull flag. Came down here and also broke not only below the bull flag, but broke down below that level right there. And again, we have a classic example of what I've already talked about. When levels of support are broken, they tend to act as resistance. And check it out. That's what happened here. Price bounced back up, and now all of a sudden, that area is behaving as resistance. So I'm not saying the price can never get back above that area. Just saying that if there is any sort of bounce from the resistance side of things right here, that purple line currently valued at 1565 will be that initial main battleground from the resistance side of things. In terms of levels of support, if this price does roll back over, next key important overall level of support in my mind down there right around the $14 mark. But yeah, no doubt about it. Very rough day here for this one. Next one, TSLA Tesla. I'm going to go through this one very quick because really there's nothing to talk about. Now, I realize that if you're a day trader and you care about the intraday stuff, then yeah, today the price was up here, came all the way down here, came all the way up here, then dropped back down here. So yeah, today there was quite a bit of movement, but taking a step back and just looking at things from the bigger picture, the price is literally still stuck in between the sideways channel that I've already been talking about. So from that angle, nothing has changed. It's still stuck smack dab in the middle of the sideways channel. Top of the channel resistance being up there at basically 449. Bottom of the channel support down there being right around 440, 80-ish, give or take a little bit. So yes, overall, the sideways channel remains fully intact here on Tesla. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you're sick and tired of the pattern day trend rule, or you just flat out want a market where you have lower risk, but you get greater volatility, greater leverage, then definitely check out what I've been doing. Check out the link there. Or if you have questions, if it sounds too good to be true, then I totally understand. Come by the live stream. Watch it with your very own eyes. Ask me any sort of questions that you may have. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and then turn on notifications so you're reminded of when I do go live. So thanks for hanging out, and hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.